Plenty hot, huh? Sweet old Sarge nursing his baby. Hiya, Sarge.
Hiya, fellas. In a few minutes, I'll have an anniversary. 4 years with a division. A lot has happened in 4 years. For one thing, new faces have come into the outfit. Only a few of us now remember the faces that haven't been around for a while. Faces that go back 2, 3, or even 4 years. You know, in World War I, our outfit tramped all over France. Got the name Sightseeing Sixth. And we got around a little in World War II.
Sarge, how about some singing?
Okay, what do you want?
Got something about Hawaii?
Hey, that's for me.
A hula dance is a pretty sight to see, soldier, and a hula girl is nice beside the sea.
Yes, the Six had a good look at Hawaii. But when we shipped out, it wasn't only hula girls we were leaving. Oahu was amphibious training. Plenty of it. And we didn't mind leaving. We had talked about the war. We were trained for it. Now we had to get moving. Going over, we thought it was going to be Australia. But it turned out to be New Guinea, Milne Bay.
Guys who work and who march together, sing strong and free. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Beautiful New Guinea. Rich golden sunsets. Tall palm trees with coconuts, all you can eat. And fine California weather, day after day. So this was home. Started to set up housekeeping and meet the neighbors. It was a pretty comfortable routine. If this was life in the Southwest Pacific, it wasn't as bad as they said it was going to be. But after a while, the usual thing happened. Somebody remembered our name, the Sightseeing Sixth, and we had to move again. We had just gotten nicely set up in our jungle home when we were involved in a trip up the coast to Milne Bay. It was a routine move. We wouldn't go in fighting. But when they put K-rations in our hands and said we'd occupy defense positions, we started thinking. Didn't take long to find out. 2 days later, that first battle. First, we were walking. Then, creeping. A lot of the time, we were hugging Mother Earth. And then we hit the Jap jackpot. Lone Tree Hill. The silliest name for a hill you ever heard of. The Sixth hit the bloodiest 10 days of the New Guinea campaign. It was the first time we smelled Japs. First time we saw our own buddies killed. We kept pushing. We grunted up that hill. The closer to the top, the hotter it got. We took Lone Tree Hill. The men who fought there weren't out to become heroes. They just wanted to do their job, wanted to get it over with. There's something else to remember about Milne Bay. Our base area was built on a solid foundation of mud. Whatever the new job was, we had been baptized. Some of us had a chance for a last dip before leaving. We'd done some fighting. We were off on another job. We couldn't help feeling like seasoned troops. Next step, way out on the western tip of New Guinea, Sansapor. While the Amtraks took 2 small islands off the beach, the rest of us drove toward the mainland. It was a cool gray dawn, a little quiet, and very wet. There was no opposition. What were we here for? Then the picture got clearer. We weren't looking for a fight. Our mission in Sansapor was to gain an airstrip. We did it businesslike. First a beachhead, then up the coast to secure our right flank. We walked down the coast on our left flank. Some Japs in the area, retreating. We cut them off. Right and left flanks accounted for. We controlled Sansapor. All this time, the engineers were busy. They started working on that strip the day we got ashore. There was an airstrip on Sansapor in record time. Soon the flyboys were getting the lowdown on their first mission.
Well, Colonel Spencer told you that this is our first mission out of Sansapor. The 69th will lead, the 7th attached. Takeoff will be at 0940. We'll be over the target at 12 o'clock. We'll go from Sansapor to Dampier Strait and then direct to the target. You have 2 squadrons, and they'll go down and strafe after they fly cover for you to the target.
Sansapor was paying off. The Air Force was striking at Borneo and up toward the Philippines. And there was something else in the air, an atmosphere of something big about to happen. We got little talks about things to come, stuff to think about. Then came the loading. Every day the job was loading. More and more LSTs pulled up to the beach. Day after day, we moved in the stuff for our next battle. Finally, the ships were jam-packed. We were getting ready for the biggest thing in the Pacific, the Philippines. Sansapor wound up the New Guinea campaign. The victory was duly recorded, and the sightseers set sail from beautiful New Guinea, paradise of the Southwest Pacific, hoping never to return again. Whatever was coming, there was one thing we had behind us. The sightseeing Sixth had been together for a long time. In one briefing after another, they gave us the details. Leyte had been invaded. We were going to bite off a bigger chunk of the Philippines, Luzon and Manila. The Japs got desperate. They tried to head us off with kamikazes. But no Jap kamikazes or anything else were going to stop us from landing at Lingayen Gulf. Before the attack, an evening like any other evening in the tropics. Beautiful sky, peaceful. Big battles all over the world. This was ours coming up. The long battle for Luzon. Funny looking back on the first few days. Not much trouble. The Japs just seemed to have left town. But the Japs were pretty close, just off our left flank. They were out to blast our beachhead. To silence those guns, one of our combat teams went into the hills. They call it the Purple Heart Valley Campaign. Started seeing casualties, old friends. Got those Jap guns, and the stuff kept rolling ashore. The Luzon campaign was off to a start. The rest of the division was moving down the Central Plains area, easy going until the Japs started playing games, hide and seek, with us out in the open and them having all the hiding places in the Cabaruan Hills. On the way south, there was one little town being softened up for us by airstrikes, a town called Munoz. When we got to the town, it seemed to be asleep or dead. No activity. Then Jap tanks and infantry. The first blow made us duck. But we hit back. No luck. So we slipped around to the back door and opened without knocking. The Nips were trapped. One night they tried to pull out. We had tanks and heavy guns lined up along the highway waiting. Just waiting for this. Ran out to take a look. We had knocked out the biggest collection of Jap armor ever encountered. You can say this about the sightseers. Give them a job, anything, any place, they'll do it. Drive across Luzon, split the Japs in half, check. Drive to Bataan, check. Crack the Shimbu line, well, that one can't be checked off so quick. With Manila taken by the 1st Cavalry and the 37th Division, the danger came now from the mountains east of the city. The Japs were high up again and behind the Shimbu line. It was down into the valley and up the hill. Again, one damn hill after the other. gave plenty and got plenty. Around those mountains, you felt like a walking target. The Japs always had perfect observation. The direct approach was knocking us out. We decided to set out on a new tack. About those hills, Bonsai Hill, for example, they had to be taken all the way to the top and then all the way down the other side. And after every hill, a counterattack. You could depend on it. Well, after 112 days of this stuff, we cracked the Shimbo line. We were pulled out for a rest. Some jobs came up. MP work in Manila, check. Guarding highways, check. Mop up the central Luzon area, check. A nice rest. We came back from the rest to watch the Air Force burning out a trail for us into the north. We went after General Yamashita and his Imperial Jap headquarters. Just follow Highway 4. Highway 4, especially those days, was not a good highway. There weren't any speed laws, but you just couldn't make any time. Highway 4 was a lousy highway. It took us right into the jungle. We had been here before. This was New Guinea country. Yep. This was New Guinea, right down to the rain. The 6th Division had an answer to the jungle supply problem. Hard work. The country changed. We got closer to Imperial Jap headquarters. In this position, the sightseers didn't see much country. Fighting was getting tougher. We kept moving forward, cave by cave. General Yamashita had his back to the wall in northern Luzon. The 6th was poised for the final push when the Japanese Empire surrendered. But the word was slow getting around to the Japs. So at the end of the war, the sightseers were the most heavily engaged troops in the United States Army. We didn't get to take part in any formal surrenders. Our outfit had another mission. We were pulled out of the lines and sent to Korea. So here we are. I wouldn't be in another outfit.
Take it easy, Captain.
Rise to work and to march together, sing strong and free. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The field exercise about to take place is an attack on a river line by a reinforced infantry unit, a brigade. For realism, aggressor forces are employed. They prepare to defend the river line. brigade brings all of its combat power to bear during the attack. Artillery and tanks soften up the enemy positions for the attack. Air support also plays its part. The rifle companies will cross the river, attack the enemy positions, and prepare for further action. Ground and air reconnaissance provides information for the attacking commanders and assists them in properly planning their tactical operations. Training in all these areas is closely supervised. Teletypewriter, CW, and voice radio are used to receive and send messages and orders. Realistic training approximates as nearly as possible the noise, danger, and confusion of battle. As soon as enemy action slackens, helicopters bring in bridging equipment. Combat engineers start to bridge the stream. Every man and every unit must be able to perform their mission in combat by the end of advanced unit training. At the conclusion of advanced unit training, an Army training test is given to all battalions. This test emphasizes unit operations and teamwork. With the results evaluated, the battalion and brigade commanders continue to develop the combat capabilities of their units in division pre-maneuver training. Division pre-maneuver training takes place during the brief period between the end of advanced unit training and the start of field exercises and maneuvers. The division commander's objective in pre-maneuver training is to correct deficiencies observed in all of his units during previous training, to familiarize his unit leaders with division-type operations, and to increase the division's readiness to accomplish the training in the next and final phase. After corrective training has been given where needed, the battalions and brigades, as part of the division, enter into field exercises and maneuvers. This phase begins with additional battalion and brigade field exercises. Battalions and brigades then unite in division exercises. Field exercises and maneuvers further develop the battalions and brigades in field operations and widen the experience of commanders and staffs under large-scale simulated combat conditions. Battlefield surveillance and prompt reporting of any type of enemy activity is stressed. Soldiers are continually taught that seemingly minor enemy movements, reported from several areas, may add up to significant information requiring immediate action. troops are taught to protect themselves from the blast, heat, and radiation of nuclear explosions. A nuclear simulator is employed. Training grows to full size in maneuvers, with all branches and services participating. The infantry battalions continue to develop their operational capabilities as part of the brigades and the division. Emphasized is the prompt implementing of orders from higher command, so that each unit learns to execute with professional skill the actions required by the tactical plan to overcome the aggressor forces. The division has now completed the formal phases of cycle training. To maintain its high level of proficiency, the division enters upon operational readiness training. Operational readiness training is normally conducted on an annual basis. Extent of the training depends upon the unit's assigned mission and its personnel gains and losses. Certain training is mandatory, such as the annual qualification in arms, including individual and crew-served weapons. Mandatory too is unit training and Army training tests at each level. Also, special operations training may be prescribed, such as air mobile operations. Or amphibious operations. In addition, vigorous and thorough Ranger type training is conducted. So that the aggressiveness of the Ranger spirit will be instilled in all infantry units throughout the Army. It's a long, hard way from the newly inducted trainees at the start of the Army training program to the hard, tough, trained soldiers conditioned and ready for combat, the product of planning, direction, and supervision of training at all levels.